Cheers everybody, this is Tenko. I'm recording in my kitchen slash home brewery. Today's subject is washing yeast. As home brewers we know that the four main ingredients of the beer is very important. Healthy and aggressive yeast is very important for the quality of your beer. Unfortunately it's kind of expensive, and the better one is even more expensive, so it's good if you know how to recycle it and save it for later use. It will save you for a few bucks. Also teaches you things about the beer and the fermentation that as a home brewer you need to know. Now when I started researching washing yeast, I watched a bunch of videos on the internet, and people were using jars and jars and jars. They were transferring the yeast way too many times, which exposes it to bacteria and other things and mold in the air. I started thinking of a way to eliminate all this transferring and exposure, and I came across this product here that is being used in the laboratories. It's called Separatory Flask. Now I don't know what they use it for in the laboratories, because I'm not a chemist or microbiologist or anything like that, but I thought it would work good for me, and it did. So what this unit has is a little valve on the bottom which you can turn on and off, and when you transfer your yeast here after you wash it with water, you can actually let go of the heavy trub, all the stuff that you don't want. It will drain out, and then you'll be left with the clean yeast that you want to keep. Eventually the yeast will settle down to the bottom again, and then you can transfer it to your container of choice and put it away in your refrigerator for later use. Now I have two of them, and this is my first one. It was a good learning tool. It's only 500 milliliters, but the problem with it is it's got a metal spring down here that holds the valve into the body, and I'm using Star Sand for sanitizer. Now this spring is barely holding on. I can't even use it anymore. But the Star Sand is slightly acidic, so it rusted it, it damaged it, and then I started looking for another one, and I found this big one. This one was about $80, and I know it's a little more expensive than the jars in in your local store, but it helps a lot and saves you a lot of time, and keeps your yeast cleaner and safer. So this one has the plastic valve. So watch for that when you're shopping for those. Watch for the plastic valves. I think they're better because they can't rust. And this one came also with a plastic cap originally. The other one came, I don't know if it was a shipping mistake, but it came without it, so I had to use my own cardboard stoppers. And I just want to show you real quick. This is how clean my yeast gets out after washing. So if you want to do that, keep watching and you'll learn how to do it. So what I'm going to do first is put that water inside the fermenter. You'll notice a little torch that I'm using here. What it does is create a vertical flow of hot air, which does not allow any bacteria or anything like that get in there and contaminate my yeast. Now I have a forced air furnace in the house, which moves the air around way too much, and if there's anything in the air, it will definitely make its way here. So I use this torch as a precaution, and try to use colder water, not frozen cold, but in the probably upper 30 degrees. It helps with the separation. It slows down yeast activities. Since I just transferred the beer from here, this beer is still pretty active, and you want to slow it down so that it helps you with the separation. So once you transfer the water in it, you swirl it around to get all the yeast from the bottom and all the other sediment. You can see over here in the bottom. Yep, everything's up. So now I can transfer it into my jars. are. That's enough. Hold it real quick. And now you can see the big chunks that are product of the fermentation go down first. We'll wait probably about 10-15 minutes, and then whatever's left we're going to transfer in the separatory flask, and you'll see the difference. So after about 20-25 minutes in my chest freezer, things have settled down, and you will see 5 layers of separation. I'm going to bring it close and I'll show you. There's the first one on the very bottom. That's the really nasty stuff that you really don't want. But then on top of that, there's another layer here. So the first one is really tiny. It's about 2-3 millimeters, and then the second one you'll see here is that darker layer that we also don't want. And then you'll see a tiny line of white stuff settling on top of the second layer. That means your yeast is already mixing up and it's settling on top of the second layer. So, and there's the fifth one, which is the water clearing up, everything settling out of the water. So now is the time to transfer our yeast in the separatory flask. You see I have the torch working. I have sanitized funnel. I'll keep this away from the plastic. Like that. And what you need to do is transfer everything else but the nasty stuff in the bottom that I showed you. Okay, I'm not going to go all the way to the bottom because I want to keep this stuff out of there as much as possible. Plus I have 2 jars. And there we go with the second one. Okay, that's enough. Sanitize this again. Cap it. And we wait. So it's been about 24 hours since we transferred our yeast into the separatory flask, or you may find it under the name of separatory funnel. And this is what we have. All the yeast is gone out of solution and it's in the bottom. You don't see it yet. I'll show you in a second. I've sanitized my surfaces here. I have my torch. I have rubbing alcohol to clean my hands when I be touching the equipment. And I have sanitizer, which I sprayed around the nozzle or the where the yeast will be coming out of, and this is where the yeast is. See how nice and clean the yeast cake on the bottom is? We separated the heavy stuff out of there earlier, and on top we just have this beer looking liquid. There's percentage of alcohol in it, so normally if I'll be storing it for more than 3 months, if it will be sitting in the refrigerator for more than that time, I will probably wash it again until I get really clean water on top, because the alcohol in your storage container can actually damage the yeast and kill some of the yeast cells by the time you use it again. There's this little flask is 150 milliliters, and that's about how much we got from our yeast washing process. I'm going to transfer it in this little flask for a storage of 2 or 3 days, because I'm going to use it again, and I'll bring the camera closer now to show you how that happens. And there's the yeast coming out. It's very thick right now, but it has packed so nicely that it squeezed all the water out of there. And really, if you add some water to it and put it back in here, you'll get the cleanest yeast that you can get. It'll be like a lab yeast. Eventually the flow of yeast will speed up because the upper layers have more water. They're thinner compared to the lower ones, but they're out of there already, so you can see that the yeast is dripping a little faster. And now it's even faster. You may need to open up the cap on top a little bit because it creates vacuum as the yeast goes out. So we'll see how it's sped up a little bit. And there we go, we're getting a lot of fluid. Now you notice there's a lot of yeast sitting here. That's the yeast that is still stuck on the walls of the flask. So if you want to get that out, you can swerve it around a little bit and create a little slow vortex. And you see it washing off the walls and concentrating again on the center of the flask. The thing is, you have to wait for this to settle again to get it out. So I have extra space on the top of the flask, so I'll just run it for until I get as much as I can. And we're done. We have clean yeast. Cap it. There it is, folks. Nice and clean. So here we are. Good beer in one hand, happy yeast in the other. And you know that there's no better beer than the one fermented with happy yeast. I think today we made our San Diego super yeast very happy, and I'll make sure that I put it to work very soon. Until then, I hope I helped you understand the process of washing, and I hope this method is going to make it easier for you too at home, increase the quality of your homemade beer, and also increase the storage life of your yeast. Thanks for watching. Happy brewing. Cheers.